Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am Abe with MysticGenMara.com, and tonight, or today, I would like to continue our journey with the Archangels. So, today we're going to go with Archangel Gabriel, and if we started with Michael last week, which is in the south, Archangel Gabriel clockwise is next with west. This information is from a multitude of different sources, including biblical, historical, and legends, myths around the world. The traditional meaning of Archangel Gabriel's name, which is Gabriel, is God is my strength, or God is mighty. And so, really, Archangel Gabriel, although in a more metaphysical sense, works with your emotions very heavily because Archangel Gabriel is aligned with water. The real meaning, though, is the strength. So where Michael is the warrior, Gabriel is where the strength comes from and will build upon. The color normally associated with traditional meanings of Archangel Gabriel is blue, although in the more modern times, you're seeing a little bit more of the cream, gold, and sometimes orange colors. And I think I talked about this in Michael's video, but in this one I'll re-emphasize it. The physical colors that you'll see them wearing is the color blue in most cases. Their aura, or their energy, when they send their energy to you, is where you get the colors of cream, gold, and orange, because they're the flash colors. They're the enhanced colors. So it makes the blue really glow when they have these other accents around them. The planet that's most commonly associated with Archangel Gabriel is the moon, still associating with water and more feminine in nature. And the day of the week is Monday, the moon's day. The time is, generally when they say time, it's what time it would be best to make an initial contact with Gabriel, and in this case it's sunset. And like I said earlier, the direction for Gabriel is the west, which is also the sign, or the direction of the death in a lot of cultures. It's also a association with water. So there's just this continual theme throughout Gabriel's colors and planets that points to strength, but also to water and emotions. The metal is silver, and the overall energy, and this has nothing to do with physical characteristics, although it can, the energy is feminine. Gabriel's energy is feminine. So for me personally, when I'm meditating or I'm working with Gabriel, I usually see her come in as a woman in either a blue tunic with golden accents, sometimes silver accents. And when she's in her more warrior nature, it's in silver armor, blue accents all over the place, and her hair's always, to me, brown and wavy, so it just kind of flows over her shoulders. And that's how I usually see her in meditation and when I'm working with that kind of energy. The crystals and stones that are generally associated are the blue stones, like lapis lazuli, aquamarine, and blue tourmaline and topaz. And sapphire is really a strong one. But you also get the moonstones, actual moonstone, pearl, because it has similar qualities, and obviously quartz, because you can use quartz for pretty much any stone. The chakra that generally is the one that's associated is the third eye, which is your intuitive, your psychic senses. And emotions is where she has her strength. It's building confidence and self-assurance. It helps trigger that creative inspiration. But also, water is a way to cleanse and to purify yourself. Not purify through fire, because that's a different kind of purification, but it's still purifying you physically. And it also helps people, especially if you're like teachers or like first responders, charity workers of various forms, because Gabriel's got a very big heart and she wants to help and to share, and so she works really closely. Even if you have never had the experience, she's probably working with you when you're helping others and in being of service to others. And that can be waiting a table and giving excellent service, or helping at a homeless shelter. It's those kind of things where you're helping others, she's going to help you. So I mean, it's things like that that are, to me, great importance, because working with her is going to enhance whatever you're doing if you're doing it to help others. And it doesn't always mean for financial gain either. She doesn't really care much for money either way, so it's not like it's a big deal to her. The spiritual weapon, if you want to call it that, it's a tool in traditional Wiccan and pagan circles, would be the chalice, the water chalice. Most of the time it's silver, although I've seen some really awesome chalices made out of stone or crystal. You can even carve your own if you have that knack. I do not, so but that is something that you can use to have as a physical reminder of what Gabriel is and what she can do. If you practice Kabbalah in the mystical sense, the Sephira, or circle, sphere of the Kabbalah is Yesod, which is at the on the physical body. It's around the groin genital area. And Gabriel is associated with the choir of angels called the cherubim, or the cherubim, depending on the culture. So, this is where I disagree with some of the modern aspects, and this is just a personal issue. The more modern belief is Archangel Gabriel is aligned with the element of air, but the overall themes for Gabriel have almost nothing to do with air's abilities and the elemental power of that of air. They align very, very closely with water, but not so much with air. But what I normally would say is, if it feels right and it works for you, then do it. If it does not work for you, then go back to the traditional. There's a reason that it's been done for thousands of years that way. So, you can experiment, and if you're working with the angelic hosts, they are willing to work with you and help educate you, and they're willing to let you experiment to a point. Now, there are points where they will just be like, that's not me, I can't help you. And at those points, you have to, go back to the way it was, because, they're divine beings, but they still have personalities and they still have areas of expertise. So you don't want to ask someone like Michael to work with water, because Michael's energy is fiery, and asking him to work with the water element is going to be volatile. So it's just something to think about when you're working with them. And when I'm working with Archangel Gabriel, I've already described kind of the physical aspect, where it's the blue tunic or the silver armor. The wings that she normally shows up with are brilliant moonstone. That reflective, rainbow-esque type color, they're absolutely amazing. And the first time that she showed up in full winged regalia, it's absolutely amazing to see in like a meditative state this being show up, and these wings they hold all colors but no set color, so it's like this white rainbow. It's absolutely amazing to work when you work with her. And again, she may show up completely more neutral or toned down, or even more impressive. It depends on what you are ready for. And that's the thing with any of this type of stuff when you work with them in a meditative state, is in some cases you're going to run into them and they're going to be amazing, intense. Other times it's going to be way more toned down, way more simple, looking a lot like a human, only there's features of perfection that tell you that it's not human. And so when you come across those things, just understand that they're showing up in a way that you are ready for, or what you are capable of fully understanding at this moment. It doesn't mean that you're not going to change over time, because I've had experiences where it's changed for me. I'm just kind of introducing you to the 101 type stuff. And I do plan on, when I can figure out how to overlay with music, doing some meditations to help introduce people to the different angels in their different environments. So that is something I'm working on. I'm just not the most tech savvy, so I'm trying to figure some of that stuff out. And I have notes. I'm just making sure I'm not missing anything. So historically, she was a defender of humanity, to the point where she, according to a couple of traditions, disagreed with God on some big events over time. And that's not to say that the disagreement was good or bad. It was one of those, well, what do you think if I did this type of a thing, is how the legend is written. And Gabriel was like, that no good. That's not going to help humanity. That's not going to help elevate them into a higher frequency. That's not good for me. But it is an interesting thing because she's one of the few that is actually noted as having a disagreement with God or source energy, however you choose to see it. But it is kind of an entertaining little quirk of hers. She loves children, and she is the protector of the divine feminine. So and I'm not being negative with this, but I'm making a point. When the Catholic Church came to power, it wiped out a massive portion of goddess worship. The reason that the Catholic Church as a whole, now individuals are different, but as a whole, recognizes the Virgin Mary is because Gabriel never let the divine feminine be completely snuffed out. And now that we've moved on and people are starting to look back to the pre-Catholic paperwork, they're finding out that there's actually traditionally going back thousands of years, a divine feminine aspect to all religions. And Gabriel has been the protector of that, and the reason that no matter how hard the Catholic Church as a whole has tried to destroy the divine feminine, it's never worked, because there actually is an aspect to divinity that is masculine and an aspect that is feminine, and Gabriel is the one that keeps bringing it up to the appropriate times and in the appropriate ways, just so that the worship of the goddess has not died. And so it's one of those things that it's good to be aware of, but not to be afraid or paranoid about, because it's not a destruction of religion to say that there's a goddess. It is a balancing of religion to say that there's a goddess. Going by Genesis, we will make them, humans, in our image. Well, he made a male and female. So obviously, going from a spiritual aspect, there would have to have been a god and a goddess, male and female, for us to be made in their image. Otherwise, what would be the purpose of having females if God was strictly male? And that's the reason I usually reference God as source energy or divine energy, because the way I look at these type of things, this is a little off topic, but just a little view, is God source energy is the purest aspect of the divine. For us as humans to be able to comprehend that, because in our current state, and as we elevate through different dimensions and different densities, we'll become more aware. But in our current state, we need something we can relate to. So divine source shows up as the god and the goddess, the lord and lady, and that is so that we can comprehend the magnitude and the massive energy field, really, that is divine. And so when you have angels like Gabriel, they are here to help us understand the feminine aspect of the divine nature. So I know it's a little wandering side note there, but it's a way to understand it better, because there actually is a divine feminine aspect that no matter how hard it's been tried over the years, you can't destroy one without destroying the other. There's a balance that has to be maintained, and that is with masculine and feminine energy. So there is also a dragon that's associated with Gabriel, and that's the blue water dragons generally. She can work with other ones as well, but that's the one that when I'm working with her and dragon energy, it tends to be the blue water dragons that show up. And so, in my experience, she helps with any and all emotions. Being the guardian of the Western Water Realm, she helps select souls coming back to Earth. She also works with the other angels and bringing the souls home after their time on Earth, which is where the Western Association is. And with that, any of your death and rebirth gods and goddesses around the world, primarily goddesses in this aspect because it's feminine, is who she's going to work with in this aspect. It's going to be creatures like Anubis. It's going to be goddesses like Kali, the Hindu goddess of death, resurrection, and rebirth. This is where her vibe is, and she's not a god, but she works with the gods in this aspect. If you're looking at let's say the Celtic tribes, where they believe that the Valkyries, I think it's the Valkyries, will take your soul to the afterworld. That's the aspect of Gabriel in her warrior sense as well. So that's kind of a good introduction. Now I'm going to give you a couple of ways to work with her on your own. And again, whenever you work with spiritual energy and you're new to it, always have a journal, because when you come out of a meditation or you are done communicating, you want to be able to record what happened, the thoughts, what worked, what didn't work. No matter what anyone says, when you're working with spirituality, you're basically being a spiritual scientist, because some things will work, some things won't. And if you don't have a record of what works and what doesn't, you'll keep repeating the same mistakes, type of a thing. And it's not bad, it's just something to remember and work with. So 2 simple ways that I have used in the past when I'm just trying to reconnect with Gabriel. And once you get a relationship built with the angels, you can literally reach out to them at any point in time. They are everywhere all the time. You're not going to burden them by having conversation. To me, you need to have spiritual friends as well as physical friends. And the tips that I'm giving in these videos are ways that you can connect with them and start to build that spiritual support team. So if you're inside, a really good way to tap into Gabriel is with a warm bath, blue bath bomb, blue bubble bath, or just regular old sea salt or Epsom salt for the bath. Gentle scented candles if you like, nothing strong. You want delicate scents. And relaxing music. The one that tends to come to mind for me is like the rainforest raining ones or the ocean waves crashing on the shore. Things like that, just so that it helps to trigger that more relaxed state, and that allows you to tap more into your intuitive sense, and that gives you the access to Archangel Gabriel and any other angels you want to work with. And you just kind of listen to the music and let it go, and you can ask Divine Source Energy to send Archangel Gabriel so that you can start to communicate. And you may have an immediate connection, or you may not have any experience the first time or the second time. The thing with that, a lot of this is, we have to build the openness within ourselves so that we can connect. In our current nature, and it's not so much fallen in this fact of we're, horrible, evil people, but we're disconnected, and that's where you have to start to rebuild those connections. You have to reawaken the gifts that we were given, and part of that is being aware of the spiritual side of our existence. So the second option, and this one for me is a little more seasonal because I don't do cold, but you find a living body of water. And what do I mean by living? It's moving water, like an ocean, a stream, a sea, a lake. The local frog pond where the water doesn't grow and it's just got moss on it, not living water. It's kind of gross and stagnant. Living water has life and abundance. It's not just it grows frogs and bugs. It's like there's fish, the birds are there. Generally, living water doesn't stink. So that's why I recommend finding a living body of water. And sit next to it if you're comfortable, if it's warm enough. You can put your feet in it, you can touch it with your hands, and allow that water connection to build. And while you're doing that, again, ask the Divine to introduce you to or bring Gabriel to you, and then listen for any messages that may come. If you're sitting next to the pond or the water and you're watching the movement, sometimes you will see images that trigger memories or trigger a response. And so it's things like that that are the best for connecting in with Gabriel. You can really connect anywhere, but the way I work with it is trying to find the easiest way. And when you are connecting with, especially the primary 4 archangels that I'm introducing right now, you want to be in the environment where their energy is most aligned. So like I said, with Gabriel, it's water. So you want to be near water, have water around you, something like that, to help you connect into that energy in a more pure sense. So I hope that you liked this little introduction. And like I said, I'm working on trying to get meditations, but I want to do them with a musical background. So I'm looking into how to overlay it and get all that fun stuff going. But on that note, if you liked this video, go ahead and drop a like below, subscribe, and click notifications if you want to be notified when I upload. I try to upload once a week, but life happens and I don't always get to because I have other jobs that I'm doing. So, but yeah, go ahead and like it and share it. If you have any comments or suggestions, you can leave them in the comment section below, and be sure to check out my website. I've got some really cool stuff on there. Some of it is for spiritual growth and help. Others is just for, like a lot of the crocheted stuff's more just for comfort and to have handcrafted stuff. I'm working very hard trying to get everything built up, and I'm always looking for suggestions or how to do something a little bit better or different. So with that, I will talk to you guys in a next video, and thanks for showing up.